How's everybody doing?
Lots of waving, lots of waving.
Lots of thumbs ups. Okay.
Well, look, we're gonna get going. As I said before, we haven't got a huge amount of time, everyone. So we are going to keep things to one question each. We'll get through as many as we possibly can. We're going to hit record so we can get you all the audio afterwards. And we're going to start in Latin America. We're going to start with Yael Rueda. Yael, let's come to you. Yael, please go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Edge. Hi, Joel.
Hi.
Good afternoon. I want question to you. What do you think about the Mexican talent in WWE and it's this is it.
Oh, I mean, I have always loved Lucha Libre and the lore behind it and the mythology of the mask and what it means to the culture. And I've always been fascinated, just absolutely fascinated by it, from Santos on through to, Rey Mysterio and Kalisto and just a lot of really, really great talent. To me, Rey Mysterio is the ultimate example of how you can incorporate a lucha libre style into working wherever you wrestle. And he's an absolute legend. He's a living legend. And I don't throw that term around lightly. He really is. And so I have always had a soft spot in my heart for lucha libre.
Let's come next to Enrique at Build in Germany.
Hey, Edge. Thanks for your time. So WrestleMania isn't just something special for the fans. So why is this the best day for you as well, for the superstars? So what makes this event so special for the talents?
I think it's just the culmination of a lot of hard work. And it feels like it all kind of, this is the pinnacle of that. And when you first get into this industry and this business and decide you want to be a wrestler, I think most people will say the goal is to be at WrestleMania and to perform at WrestleMania, because at WrestleMania, you have all of those memories over the years. And I think also this year, it's even more special just because we're starting to get an audience back. And I think that it's just massive to this form of entertainment, because what we do is so based on crowd reaction, is so based on that give and take, and that, we feed off of that energy. And the more energy we give, usually the more we get back. And that's an amazing relationship that has been missing. And I can't wait. And I don't think it's fully going to be real to me until I hear that crowd and I'm standing in the ring going, right, this is happening. So I think that's why this one in particular, we're finding our steps forward into, life again.
We'll come next to Carlos Gasco in Spain.
Hi, Edge. Thank you for being here with us today.
Hey, Carlos.
And also my question is about, like Enrico says before, this is your first match with a live audience after 10 years in WrestleMania. How do you feel about it?
Excited, but I don't know if it's fully dawned on me yet. I even checking into the hotel yesterday and talking with fans and kind of just getting some anticipation for this. And I'm really just trying to savor every moment of it and soak in every moment of it, because this was taken away for a long time. And to have it back and to be in this position, it's very surreal. So I'm still kind of pinching myself. But I also understand I'm at a point in my life where I'm going to enjoy every second of this.
We're coming next to Australia, and we'll come to Nims at SEN Radio.
Good morning, Edge. How are you going?
Good morning. How's it going?
Going absolutely fantastic. It is absolutely great to see you back. Now, a lot of the questions have been covered, but one thing that hasn't been is I remember one of my biggest memories of you is from when I was back in high school. You came to the Global Warning Tour in Australia. I remember you climbing some scaffolding, and it was just so good. It was such an awesome memory. But trips for the WWE to come overseas seems like it's a world away. How much are you missing visiting fans overseas, like Australia or just outside North America?
All fans at this point, until we get them back, I'm missing them all. But what I appreciate about any kind of culture you go to, the crowds always react differently. So you will get a completely different reaction in Canada than you will to the US, even just from that border, let alone when we go to Australia, let alone when we go to New Zealand, let alone when we go to Peru, to Chile, to all of these different places. That to me was always an amazingly fun aspect, because you would get there and go, okay, how are they going to react tonight? Like, how I forget. And for me, I've totally forgotten, like, okay, well, we go here and they react this way. But I think that's going to be even amplified more so once borders open and once we get back to some sense of normalcy. But just to have interaction with our fans again, I think wrestling and sports entertainment is so dependent on that. You know, right now it feels honestly like we're making a movie or we're making a TV show, in terms of like we're on a set and there's no feedback, and you go, okay, my gut compass tells me I think that was pretty good, but you don't get that instant gratification, that immediate feedback to go, okay, this is working. And I can't wait for that again.
Well,
oh, Mims, I lost you. We're going to come next to Axel Lefebvre in France.
Hi again, Hedge.
Hey!
You came out of retirement in 2020 for an incredible return at the Rumble. So my question is the following. If you can choose one legend and get her out of retirement for a one-on-one match with the place and stipulation you want, who do you pick and why?
Bret Hart, an Iron Man match in Toronto.
Wow.
Calgary could be a runner-up as the place for it to happen. But I've had the pleasure of getting in with a lot of people that I grew up watching, and a lot of people that really influenced me getting into wrestling, and then it influenced my style once I was in wrestling. And I've had the opportunity to wrestle against Shawn Michaels, to wrestle against Ric Flair, against The Undertaker, to team with Hulk Hogan, to wrestle Jerry Lawler, Terry Funk, the Bad News Brown, Rick Martel, like all of these names that I never thought I'd get a chance to. But Bret was a name that I never got the opportunity in front of an audience. Now, him and I wrestled once and hit at his house, in a ring in his house, but no one ever saw it. And just in that time, I went, oh man, to wrestle Bret Hart, who was such a massive influence on how I look at the storytelling of wrestling matches. That would be my dream match.
We'll come next to Alex McCarthy at TalkSport in the UK.
Hey, Edge.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, man. What a delight. Never thought I'd get the chance, and here we are.
What a great opening salvo. I like that.
Yeah, straight at you. Speaking of which, I was there, man, in Houston when you came back, and it was incredible stuff. We had you then, obviously, onto WrestleMania, Backlash, and then the injury happened, right? So that sucked, obviously. There
it is. There's the new scar.
Ooh, there she is. But so heading into that, you obviously were 2 matches in with Randy Orton, right? And things have changed now, though. A lot of us imagined you might pick things back up with Randy on a big stage. We know you blew it off on Raw, and now you've won the Rumble, heading to WrestleMania. Talk to me about how much injuries, that injury in particular changed your direction in WWE, because now we're seeing you a lot more often too.
Yeah, it seemed to change everything. My mind, I still thought me and Randy at WrestleMania, me and Randy at WrestleMania, me and Randy at WrestleMania. And that's what my working plan was the whole time, until I was told that it wasn't the company's plan. And I went, oh, okay, well, but we got to see this trilogy through. Like we need to do this. And I was pretty disappointed. I really wanted to, I just felt like the story deserved that. So when I found out that wasn't on the docket anymore, I was like, okay, well, so then what? and it's worked out the way it has, which is obviously very exciting. And honestly, I mean, look, I go from thinking I'm wrestling Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which is a dream, to wrestling Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the Universal title. I mean, that's a dream too, and but all the courses changed, and that's just what happens sometimes. And you have to be adaptable, and you have to, as much as I get an idea in my head and I like, well, we got to see this through, I have to understand that there's more to it, and there's multiple characters, and it's like a chessboard. So you got to go, okay, where can we best place this character and this character and this character and this character to make the totality of the card something that hopefully our fan base is happy with. So a lot changed. It did. And a lot of it was timing, and a lot of it was I came back, and the Rumble takes place 11 years to the day from the last time I won the Rumble, and then the second night of Mania is 10 years to the day from when I announced my retirement. Like, you can't write that stuff. So when you see that, you go, I guess that's the direction we got to go, right? Because that only happens once. You only get this opportunity to tell this story once. And so I think that's a really fun aspect, let alone the aspect of, like, you got three guys in the main event that have been either, told they got to go home or they got to quit doing this. And yet here we are. So
awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks.
We're going to come next to Jonathan Romero at Mundo Deportivo in Spain.
Ed, how are you doing?
How are you?
I'm so glad. I'm so humbled to talk to you. We all know that you have a tough match this Sunday against Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns. But I have a question for you. If you could draw one positive aspect of each of your opponents, what would it be?
I mean, there's a lot of positive aspects to both. I don't think you get to the main event of WrestleMania unless you have a whole lot of positive aspects. I think, starting with Daniel Bryan, you got a guy who is, I mean, if you really look up the just not quitting and against all odds, really doing this thing at an elite level, when I'm sure he was told no a lot over the years, so just that mentality. And then also what he brings from a style perspective, like he brings a lot of different grappling and a lot of different submission holds that I personally love. And I never really tapped into beforehand in the incarnation of Edge. With this incarnation of Edge, I really do want to use a lot of those things. So he's a great opponent for me to test out this version of Edge. So that's super exciting. Roman Reigns is a guy that I have watched since he started, and I was like, okay, that guy, if he's going to tap into it, he's going to figure it out. And eventually the chains will get taken off and he's just going to blow the doors off. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a guy who has a full grasp of his character, who is, he's a great performer who thinks and can think on his feet and has found his voice. And that's super exciting, because I was there on the ground floor of John Cena figuring all of those things out. And now I feel like I'm here, in the midst of Roman figuring those things out. So I find myself in this situation almost again. I'm going, damn, man, I keep running into these guys at the right time. Although from a character perspective, maybe the wrong time.
We'll come next to Julio Estrada at La República in Peru.
Yes. Hi, Ed. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, all right. Well, my question is, we've all been very involved in your story, right? Winning the Royal Rumble, I think it was a great way to start the WrestleMania journey. But what I want to know is if the adding of Daniel Bryan, how did you take it? Because I don't know if you know this, but there's been 10 times that the winner of Royal Rumble doesn't challenge the champion one-on-one. So the adding of another wrestler, because I know winning the Royal Rumble is tough, but adding another wrestler, I don't know if it got maybe some upset, or maybe how did you take to another wrestler coming in the match that you earned in Royal Rumble? And also Ed, I cannot miss the opportunity if you can say hello to your Peruvian fans. You have a lot of fans here. We all remember your 2009 visit, and I know they will appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, hello, Peru. So I'll start off with that, and hope to see everybody down there again at some point. In terms of it becoming a triple threat, it kind of goes back to some of the comments I made to someone earlier, in that you look at the WWE as a chessboard, and where do all of these pieces fit best? And that's an ever-shifting thing. You know, I've learned that your match isn't the match you think it is until you're in the ring and the bell rings. And then you go, okay, I guess, yep, it's a singles match. Oh, it's triple threat. Like, you don't fully know until it's happening, until that bell rings, that it is going to be the match that you thought it would be. I think, you know, anytime you're a performer, you really just want to be able to go out and put on the best possible match. And whatever scenario that is, whether it's a triple threat, whether it's a singles match, it truly doesn't matter. Triple threats are a little more difficult, though, just because there's a lot more thinking that needs to go into them, and a different kind of pacing and a different kind of mentality that you don't have in a singles match. So if anything, it just shifted, going, okay, right, this isn't a singles now, this is this. So I got to come at it from a different angle.
Let's come next to Bernard over in France at Wii Sport.
Hi, Hedge. I have a question about your return. Were you afraid to fail your return with the crisis of COVID, the absence of the public, or tricep injury? Did you had any doubts in the recent months to not making the return you hope?
No, I think, you know, injuries, that I'm used to those. So those don't really affect me anymore. More than anything, it was, without an audience, is this still going to be fun? And it hasn't been entirely fun, I will admit. And I think to a person on the roster, they would tell you the same thing. You guys make it more fun. You know, the audience makes it more fun. It just is. And our industry is so dependent on the people, and we've made do, I guess, is how you would look at it, and tried to continue to see this, you know, thing forward. But getting people back is going to be monumental. You know, little by little, just getting back our audience will be massive, and that will bring the fun elements of it back. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a creative outlet, it's still a creative space. So in terms of that, it's still enjoyable, but it's just, there's no way for it to be as enjoyable without our audience. It just isn't. And so I think in terms of the comeback, that's one thing that you can't control. And I mean, listen, would I prefer to have an audience for my entire, you know, this incarnation of Edge? Absolutely. But I also understand that there's a lot bigger things going on than me being satisfied with my wrestling comeback. And I'm focusing on all the positives that are there. I got that Royal Rumble moment. Are you kidding me? Like, if there was nothing else, I got that. That is insane. That is, you know, I'll never forget that. coming back at Mania this year and getting a portion of our audience back, that's going to be insane. So I'm swimming in the positives of it instead of focusing on the negatives.
We're going to come next to India, and we'll take a question from AJ Singh. AJ,
I'm sorry. I thought I was muted and I was talking like an idiot. I'm so sorry. All right, Edge. First of all, it's an absolute honor to be able to talk to you today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So the last time, Edge, you competed in a triple threat match at WrestleMania was about 12 years ago at WrestleMania 25 when you fought John Cena and The Big Show. Now, 12 years later, you're once again going to be fighting in a triple threat match, but this time against Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. So can you tell us how different do you feel heading into this match as compared to WrestleMania 25 in 2009? Do you feel any more confident this year?
I don't really remember 2009 that much, honestly, except the aspect of John picking us both up on his shoulders. But that year was just a blur of busyness. I think this one's so much different just because of all of the worldwide events that we've all been going through. So I think in that regard, it makes it feel more special that we're going to have some audience and be able to feed off of that energy again. That's just going to feel really good. In terms of differences, I don't know, triple threats are just kind of different beasts. But then on top of triple threats being different, any talent you throw in there makes it a completely different triple threat match. So if you look at the different opponents, you have Daniel Bryan and Big Show, who could not be any more polar opposite. And you have Roman and Reigns and John Cena, who you could say have similarities in terms of where they are in terms of importance to the industry, but they're entirely different characters. So it's a different mountain to tackle entirely, but it's an exciting one. It's a fun one. Styles make matches. What will be interesting about this one is you have 3 really different styles, and how's that going to shake out in the match? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
We're coming next to Ricardo in Medio Tiempo.
Hey, Edge.
Hello.
How are you? Greetings from Mexico. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Thank you very much. As you can see right behind me, there is a poster of Muhammad Ali with his legendary phrase of "impossible is nothing." How much does that phrase kind of defines you after all you've been through, your retirement, coming back, being at the main event of WrestleMania years back to back? How much does this phrase represent you?
Ali's great for he's an amazing ocean of quotes to pull from in terms of that kind of mentality. Because I'm a firm believer in that if you visualize it, you can manifest it. And that takes a mindset, that takes a mindset that then kind of colors every aspect of your life. So if you truly want something, I believe you can get it, but you're really going to have to put in some elbow grease, and you're really going to have to work hard toward it. And generally speaking, anything that's worthwhile will be so enjoyable because you got to put that work in. And I just feel like a lot of times we put limits on ourselves. And if we just stop thinking about what we can't do and changing it to what we can, it's just a simple, you're dropping one letter, but that one letter makes all the difference in the world. Since I've come back, I've had people reach out on social media platforms and tell me that for whatever reason, my story inspired them, and they were 380 pounds and now they're 290, or they were 400 pounds and now they're 320. And they just started walking. They just started moving and just got going. because I think a lot of times, especially now throughout a pandemic, it's very easy with depression and no outlets and not a lot of social interaction to just get down. And I really think by just moving and just getting out and lubing the joints and motion is lotion and all the endorphins and all that good stuff starts moving around and you start feeling better. So yeah, I think that's Ali's right.
We're going to come next to Scotland and we'll take a question from Gary Cassidy.
Hi Edge, pleasure to talk to you and thank you so much for taking the time.
How you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. So I wanted to ask, you mentioned a lot about the dynamics of a triple threat match, and sometimes, you know, the storytelling leading up to it can be a little bit clunky. You guys have absolutely smashed it with the storytelling on the screen, but actually what seems to be overlooked a bit is the storytelling off the screen. We've got three guys in the main event of WrestleMania who at one point not too long ago we thought might never wrestle again, obviously for some different reasons. I want to ask, when did you find out that Daniel Bryan would be added? And have you guys, you know, the three of you, spoken about the significance of your respective journeys and how it's all culminating on the grandest stage of them all in the main event of WrestleMania?
Well, I think in the build to Fastlane is when we, you know, we were told it was going to change to a triple threat. The three of us have not talked about it. I think it's an unspoken thing that we all know, obviously. And what's strange about it is our stories, our journeys, the journey of Adam, Bryan, and Joe doesn't help further the narrative. And it doesn't help paint one guy as the villain and one guy as the hero. And, you know, so it can muddy those waters. All of that being said, if you look at our three stories outside of the characters, I think those stories help you invest in the characters more, because you know what these three men have fought and clawed and scratched and, you know, to get back this thing that, you know, at all three, you know, separate journeys, I think probably thought, well, that this might be it, or this is it. I know for me, I thought this was it, so I can't speak for them, but I was done and I was told I had no choice. So to have three guys in a position to be able to main event, having those stories, I like to think that helps you invest in the characters even more. So it's this underlying thing underneath it all that is actually kind of bigger than it all, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but in my mind does. So, and I think that's helped with the build, because there's a lot of real involved. There's a lot of truth involved. And in order for a storyline to fire on all cylinders, it's going to have some truthful aspects to it, for the performers to be able to pull it off, and for the performers to have it feel genuine to the audience. You know, I think when you see an Edge promo, you go, man, a lot of what he's saying, that dude feels. And not only does Edge feel it, but Adam feels it. And I think that is a difference maker. And with these three guys, that's a pretty easy thing to tap into.
We're going to come next to Alistair McGeorge at Metro.
Hey man, how's it going?
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. You doing okay?
Doing good. No complaints.
Good. So last time we spoke on one of these calls, you kind of told me that an Edge and Christian reunion was something that needed to happen with both of you back and ready to go. Obviously, there are some logistical issues there now, we'll say. But do you still see it as like a way for it to happen? And is there still a desire for both of you to do it before you do eventually call it a day?
I mean, I would love to be able to, whether it's as a team or whether it's just one-on-one match, it would be amazing, especially where we're both at in terms of our the way we approach the storytelling of a match now. I feel like we are really on the same page. You know, since I've watched his stuff since he's been back, I'm like, oh my gosh, the stuff we would do now, it would be so different too. I don't know if it ever happens. I really don't. I don't know. I think possibly that ship has sailed, but we had that moment at the Royal Rumble, and I have to look at the things that you do have, not what the what ifs, right? And we got that moment, and we both got this thing back that we were told we'd never have again. And now we both have an opportunity to try and tie this in a bow that we never got a chance to before. It was hanging threads before, right? Now we can tie it in a bow, and at the end of this go, all right, job well done. And if that's not together, not a lot you can do, right? At the end of the day, I just want him to be happy and to be respected where he's plying his trade, as respected as he is in the locker room.
We've got time for a couple of final questions. So we'll come first to Razine Gutta in South Africa.
Hi, Edge. I'm sure you're
Hello.
buzzing ahead of a big weekend. I just wanted to go away a little bit from your match because everyone's really excited about that, including myself. But I wanted to ask you, it's the first time some big legends like The Undertaker, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, they're not going to be at WrestleMania this year. I want to know, how do you feel about that? Like, these part-timers are not going to be there, but it gives a big chance to the main roster and the guys who put in a shift week in, week out. What's your thoughts on this whole thing, advantages, disadvantages, and perhaps one day down the line in a few years when you don't make appearances every week like you've been doing now, you might be in that place as well.
You know, I think this is a large segment of our fan base always says, you know, oh, part-timers clog up. Well, they aren't this year. But then you'll get people complaining that they aren't there. You can't please everybody, right? It's just the nature of the beast. But I do think it's a great opportunity for a lot of talent to really get a chance to step up, and that's exciting. You know, as a talent personally, before, I was always excited when those guys came back. You know, as a, for instance, let's say WrestleMania 18 was in Toronto, right? Hogan Rock. Are you kidding me? I'm excited about that because I'm a fan. And to me, with those guys back, that's more eyeballs. And if I'm not on the show, then I just got to do more to get on the show. So I always took that responsibility on myself. But this year, I mean, there's no, the chains are off. So I think it's a fun opportunity to see a Cesaro get the kind of chance he's getting. To see, you know, Matt Riddle and Sheamus, to see Bobby Lashley after all of these years get an opportunity to walk into this as the WWE champion at 41, 43, however old they, like that. It's incredible. And to still look the way he does, I hate him. But so it's and then you got Sasha and Bianca who are breaking boundaries, and there's a lot of really exciting, fun elements. And it almost feels like, I don't want to say a rebuilding phase, but it almost feels like, okay, here's this group and we're moving forward now. And somehow, for whatever reason, my old butt from a previous generation is in on this ride too. And that's super exciting because I want to be on this ride with everybody, you know, and that's why I am showing up every week. And that's why I'm doing the same schedule as everybody else right now. Because if I'm asked to be in this position, that's what it entails. And at the end of the day, I love doing this. So I just think it's super fun. It's an exciting one for multiple reasons. Hey, we got people back, you know, whatever portion of an audience, but there's some audience, and that's super exciting. But if you look at it, I think years from now, you'll be able to, with hindsight, go, that was a bit of a changing of the guard. You know, even though there's a lot of names that have been around for years that are on the show, like you said, it's the first time that a lot of those other names aren't on it. And I'm a name that's on it that wasn't around for 9 years. So, you know, I'm almost like I don't know what category I fall into now.
Let's come to the UK and take a question from Matty Paddock.
Hello, Edge.
Hello.
Hi. You've spoken about it a couple of times, touched on it with regards to the creative direction kind of over the last couple of years since you considered coming back and since you did arrive. How important is it for you to have some involvement and some say on your own creative? Because you've been very honest before in saying that your in-ring years, I guess, are limited now. You kind of have a set time. So what involvement do you have in that, and how important is that to you if there is some there?
I think I just want to make sure that we bleed this stone as much as we can and get as much out of it as we can. You know what I mean? It's not even so much in terms of like the storylines or anything like that. For me, it's more the promos. I write my promos, and I'm very, very hands-on with those, because to me, I got to feel it. And if someone else writes it and I'm just reciting it, I can't feel it. And this is a different thing than it is to be on a TV or a movie set. You got a script, and it has to follow multiple narratives and all of those things. Wrestling is different in that regard, because you've played this one character for 20 years, and no one's going to know that character more than you, because you've had to live in that skin for that amount of time. So that's one thing that I've really enjoyed, because I love writing. I love reading. So I take little excerpts and bits and bobs here and there. Like I read 72 books last year. I'm constantly, there's stories going on in my head. So I try to think, okay, well, what aspect of a story could I latch onto here? And what truths could I bring into a promo that I can latch onto to really try and make this feel genuine? And I tried to, I think maybe learn that in this 9 years of acting, where if I'm playing a maniacal Viking who beheads people and puts their heads on poles, right? How can I relate to this guy? And I had to find the things that I related to. And the reason that he tipped into this place of insanity, well, his pregnant daughter was murdered. Okay. Yeah. I can understand what a father would do in that situation. So then it became easy to validate all of these horrible actions. It's the same within a wrestling context, is you have to find something that Adam can relate to, so that Edge can pull these things off and hopefully make it something that an audience wants to see, or an audience goes, whoa, okay, that feels different. Whether it's the delivery, whether it's the cadence or the intensity, or whatever. Like sometimes in a promo, I get worked up, my face goes beet red, and I'm feeling it. I am in the zone, and those are the good ones, and so for me, more so than creative directions or who I'm going an angle with, I just want to wrestle everybody. So send me whatever direction you want, I'm there. But the promos, I like to really be super hands-on with that stuff.
We're going to take one final question from Kenny McIntosh.
Oh, hey, boy. How's it going?
Oh boy, did we have to end with this?
Save the best till last. How are you?
Are we? By the way, come on.
I mean, that's embarrassing, because I now look like I'm copying you. Right? Anyway, oh god. Okay, professional.
Hulk, by the way,
he's good. He's stayed away. He's not tripped over a wire, so we're in good shape. Listen, I want to ask you, what a difference a year makes, right? Because last year you were in the best built program for WrestleMania, you and Orton, and then without a crowd, you kind of had to roll with the punches the way that it was. But you were the returning hero, and now here we are a year later. You're going to have the big crowd again. But there's more of a villain tendency to you this year with Daniel Bryan involved. Can you talk a little bit about the idea of how that part of it's changed from last year, and how you kind of deal with that, given that you're so hands-on?
I think it was, when you find out it's triple threat, you go, okay, right. We both can't play the underdog hero who's trying to, that Rocky vibe. We can't both pull that off. And if you look at the both of us, well, that's Bryan. That's his thing. Like nobody does that better than him. And I'd like to think that if I can come at it and get a little bit of that rated R vibe back, that gives me an edge that I think our audience was ready to see. I think they were past, and here's what's difficult, because we don't have the audience to really fully know. But I think they were past this veteran who's coming back. Can he do it? He's questioning all of these things. They saw that with Randy, and it worked there. I thought it could continue to work, but then I started to feel that it wasn't. And then when you throw Bryan into the mix, you realize, okay, well, he's going to corner that market. Roman is cornering his market. I got to find the direction to come from here. And to me, it's neither heel nor babyface. It's not hero. It's not villain. It's Edge. And Edge wants back what he never lost. And the character of Edge was always driven by the championship, nothing else. It was so simple. Edge wants the title. That's it. Doesn't matter who has it. Doesn't matter. It could have been Batista. It could have been, JBL. That's what Edge wants. And that kind of makes things easier because it's a really simple root point to come from. It makes, I guess it makes the incentive for the character. It's that, and it doesn't matter who's in the way. And with that, though, you can bring in these, intense intangibles, and like, no matter who gets in your way, it's kind of like, I remember watching Jake the Snake and Macho Man on Saturday Night's Main Event. They were both bad guys. And I was watching that going, oh man. And they were just trying to out-cheat each other. And I think back to, like, there was a point where Randy and I were both heels, and we had a match where we were just trying to outdo the other with these heinous things. I think that's where Edge is living right now. And that's really fun because it leaves a lot of directions to go to. You could go to me and Seth Rollins, or you could go to me and Shinsuke, or you could go to, hey, want to throw me over to Raw? Yeah, I'll go after Drew. Or maybe there's so many different directions to go. I've always been a fan of the black hat, white hat, but I think now it's so much different. And that really is just, it's Edge now. And that I don't think I need to worry about the handle of bad guy, good guy. It's just is Edge. And that's kind of freeing in a way.
Well, good luck on Sunday. I can't wait to see it.
Thanks, buddy. Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you all so much for your questions. Really great questions as well. We'll leave things, Edge, with you. A big weekend coming up. What should we all really be looking forward to about WrestleMania 37?
Seeing a damn crowd again, and hearing and feeling, and I think also seeing, hearing, feeling our reaction to that. I think to a person, anyone who got into this business got into it because of that interplay between audience and performer that you truly don't get except maybe outside of a really good concert, or maybe theater, but even more so with this. I think you're going to see a lot of very excited performers, and I hope that you see a very excited, ravenous crowd that will, it's a give and take, man. The more we give you, the more we get back, hopefully. And I have a feeling that's going to be the case. And I'm going to go Saturday night just so I can hear it, get the goosebumps, and realize what's in store for me the following night. And hopefully that makes for a very enjoyable viewing experience for everyone.